We humans, being social creatures, are always trying to understand each other, how we behave or why we behave the way we do. This makes sense. Being able to get along with each other is beneficial, helping make life easier and more sustainable. One of the ways we've tried to acquire this understanding is through research. Due to our complexities, many different experiments have been held to see if things we think or assume are correct. As I hope we generally try to be good people, most of these experiments were ethically conducted and within accepted official guidelines. Alas, to err is human, and occasionally the verb for science has resulted in experiments that pushed ethical limits and created controversy. Even so, these moral missteps still opened researchers to new knowledge. As per usual, it's the unusual that fascinates us. Here are some of the standout, maybe notorious psychological experiments that occurred for real. 1. The beneficial brainwashing experiment. Already, you're likely thinking, brainwashing? That's not good. How could it be beneficial? We can understand the confusion with the seemingly oxymoronic label, but it was real, and Dr. Donald E. Cameron decided to execute it sometime in the 1950s to 60s era, with the goal in mind of rewiring us to think healthy. The subjects were forced to listen to looped audio messages for long stretches, the theory being that this would enable the psyche to receive the message directly and create new thinking patterns. This was called psychic driving. If you've seen those old-timey ads to learn while you sleep, this experiment is likely where they stemmed from. So why would they think this would work? The accepted belief at the time was that the brain was programmable, like a computer, so could thus be recoded to think healthier. As ridiculous as it might sound now, conditioning is a confirmed psychological phenomenon, leaving open the possibility that the mind can be guided to think a certain way, even if it can't be totally reprogrammed. 2. The Stanford Prison Study. Ever have a friend surprise you with uncharacteristically poor treatment? What could have happened? Surely only the direst of circumstances could make your friend or any of us change our principles, ethics, or fundamental behaviors, right? Philip Zimbardo challenged this with his 1971 study at Stanford Prison. He questioned if specific roles were assigned, would that affect our treatment of people? He set the scene with roles of prisoners and guards due to the complex interaction required. The subjects, who weren't actually prisoners or guards, were assigned the role of one or the other to play act and run a realistic prison scenario for 2 weeks. Think of it like very intense method training. Surely you'd think it would take a long period of indoctrination to lose yourself enough for behavior to change, right? 6 days. Yeah, it took all of 6 days for the pseudo-guards to start verbally abusing the pseudo-prisoners, who in turn started to submit to the pseudo-authority. Participants reported the feeling of being psychologically tortured. The situation became so bad the whole thing had to be abandoned. So what did it all mean? It meant that if the conditions were contrived just right, people tend to conform to whatever role is given. This implies our behavior is somewhat situational, instead of deeply irrevocably ingrained, as was previously thought. 3. The blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment. Ever been discriminated against? Wonder how deep it goes? Well, looks like teacher Jane Elliott was also curious about discrimination and tested it out on her students. In this 1968 experiment, she divvied up the children into 2 groups, the blue-eyed and the brown-eyed. And this is starting off sounding disturbingly like something a toothbrush mustachioed man did in the 40s, although I'm sure it's just because the 2 most common eye colors are blue and brown. The first day was to create a division between the groups by assigning a status of superiority to the blue group, and basically playing favorites while treating the brown group the opposite way. The blue group, in response, started behaving superior in attitude and doing better schoolwork, while the brown group started behaving inferior, becoming more timid with increased difficulty with schoolwork. The second day, 1 week later, the roles were reversed, playing favorites to the brown group. Although the resulting behavior did change, the effect was not nearly as intense as the first time, demonstrating the presence of residual damage. Consider this. The entire experiment only took a few hours and involved a single classroom of children. The better treatment was fairly minor, like 5 extra minutes at recess or access to the new jungle gym. Imagine the exponential impact when you lengthen that time to decades, the population to several million, and the issues being things like wages or health care. The fact that the role reversal didn't result in an equal but opposite result means no simple quick switch was going to undo the initial damage. Not only can discrimination be instilled at an early age, but also gives notice to how long-lasting and entrenched the effects can be. 4. The monster study. If you heard someone was experimenting on orphans, what would you call them? A monster? Well, you're in good company, because that's exactly what Wendell Johnson was called by his peers for his 1939 experiment. Yes, he did use orphans, some of whom were stutterers. He used 22, in fact. His hypothesis was that he might be able to train out stuttering and wanted to see what effects positive or negative reinforcement gave. He proceeded to divide them up into groups, with half of them being treated well, given praise for fluency and hopeful assurance. The other half were belittled for every imperfection, and if they didn't have a stutter before, they were told they were getting one, then criticized. To note, this made no difference to the status of stuttering. It can't just be trained out. The biggest impact was what happened to the negative feedback group. Results ranged from loss of self-esteem to becoming a recluse, among other psychological issues. These psychological scars persisted and affected them for their entire lives. 5. The Milgram experiment. When was the last time you stood up to someone? Okay, now how about the last time you stood up to someone in a position of authority, like a professor or your manager? A little scarier, right? Stanley Milgram decided to see how far that could be pushed in his 1961 experiment. The general setup was that the subject, who was being assured payment even if they stopped partway through, would be told by an authority figure called the experimenter to give electric shock punishment to a student when a wrong answer is given. The subject is aware that each wrong answer would have a progressively increased voltage. Personally, this already sounds bad, but I suppose things were different in 1961. What the subject doesn't know is that there is no electric shock. The student is an actor, and the administrator is following a script. It was found that despite the voltage getting to fatal levels with some simple prodding from the administrator, around 2/3 of the subjects continued pressing that button, even when the student would scream and beg for mercy. So if you look at those around you, this means there's a possibility that many of them have the capacity to become party to monstrous acts, with the imperative of obeying authority overriding a personal sense of ethics. 6. The Asch conformity test. Fitting in is important to many of us, whether that be at school, at work, or even just being able to fit in with a small group you hang out with frequently. It means you're not alone, giving a sense of safety. How far would you go for that comfort of fitting in? How far would you conform? The Asch conformity test, conducted in 1951, showed that we might go as far as to deny our own minds for this token of safety. To see how the need to fit in is manifested, a group of people are shown a set of lines and asked to answer a simple and obvious question, something like, which line is the longest? This being an experiment, it's rigged, so only one of them in the group is the subject, while the rest of them are actors. The actors all pick the same wrong answer, essentially putting unspoken pressure on the subject. Although the results were somewhat varied depending on circumstance, it was overall demonstrated that picking the wrong answer, meaning conforming or fitting in, significantly increased when in a group. This means that many people place higher value on fitting in than standing their ground, even if they're right. This doesn't apply to the overwhelming majority. However, the percentage it does apply to is still significant. 7. The marshmallow experiment. Who doesn't want to be a success? Even more, who doesn't want to be able to predict that they'll be successful? The marshmallow experiment by Mischel tried to prove a predictor. It posits that good things come to those who wait, more officially known as delayed gratification. The test subjects were children, which raised some eyebrows. The children were presented with a marshmallow and given the choices to eat it immediately or to wait and be rewarded for their patience with a double marshmallow reward. The initial results showed that the ones who waited for the double reward did better in school relative to the immediate eaters. This appeared to support the hypothesis that delaying gratification is associated with success. The study was referred to as proof of the benefits of delayed gratification for years. However, recent follow-up studies and investigations found that other factors that were previously ignored played very important roles in the choice of delayed or immediate gratification, such as socioeconomic conditions, which could also affect behavior and neurocognition. So the initial findings are now questionable, and this needs further evaluating and study. 8. The Carlsberg Social Experiment. Beer? Being social? They popularly go together, so why not have a little fun with it? The Carlsberg Group thought so and ran an ad campaign that ended up being analyzed as a social experiment. The scenario is sweet and simple. A couple are on a movie night date, and the movie theater is filled with some very tough, rough, stereotypical-looking bikers. There are only, however, 2 seats available, and they're right next to each other. They're also situated smack dab in the middle of this sea of leather, beards, and gruffness. The unspoken challenge is thusly given to the unsuspecting couple. Do you forego your discomfort of what you see, throw your prejudice aside, sit down and enjoy that movie? Or do you take one look, then quietly but quickly turn around in the name of self-preservation? This experiment, aside from being very entertaining, drew interest into investigating how and why we react to stereotypes or prejudices. Although back in the hunter-gatherer days, it was pretty much always the right choice to run from the unfamiliar, in today's society, different no longer automatically means danger. How able or willing are we to overcome these base impulses? If this experiment's results were to speak, the answer would be that we're improving, but have a long way to go, with approximately 64% of the couples running for the hills. The remaining few bucked their primitive instincts, took a seat, and were promptly rewarded with a free beer and applause. Here's to progress. 9. The Robbers Cave Experiment. If someone is your enemy, are they always going to be so? Or does it depend on context? Social psychologists Muzaffar and Carolyn Sharif wanted to prove that competition for limited resources would result in conflict, hostility, and negative behavior between the competing groups. This gave rise to the follow-up question: what would happen if resources had to be gained not by competition, but by cooperation? Would the previous conflict override their ability to get the prize, or can conflict be overcome by this simple change in context? Thus ensued a Lord of the Flies-esque experiment. But Lord of the Flies hadn't even been published yet at this time. A summer camp at Robbers Cave Park in Oklahoma, USA, was set up in 1954, wherein 22 boys were split into 2 groups and set up in different areas, each group thinking they were the only group at the camp. The 2 groups were then introduced, and the stage set, wherein the resources were limited and had to be won through competition, like tug of war. The next phase then had the boys move to a new location, and the context changed to the resources being won only through cooperation towards a common goal, like fixing a water supply they all depended on. The result was that even though there was previous conflict, hostility, prejudice, and shunning and competition, which was expected, this could be overcome, even surpassing to bonding and friendship should the situation call for it. And 10, the experiment of the ape and the child. The Planet of the Apes in all its iterations has maintained its popularity through the decades, partly because of our fascination with our closest animal relatives, the apes. How close are chimpanzees to us, really? Could they be close enough to us that if raised in a human environment, they could act and believe that they were human? Looks like this idea isn't a new one, as Winthrop Kellogg decided in 1931 to raise a female chimpanzee named Gua as a sibling to his baby son Donald. He was interested in the opposite effects too, where human children had been raised by wild animals. Since he figured abandoning his baby to be raised by wild animals would be wrong, he decided that bringing one wild animal into his home would be perfectly a-okay. What was observed was that the 1-year-old Gua showed a higher intelligence, but did not adopt human speech. Unfortunately, it seemed to work the other way around, with little Donald's speech cognition being disrupted because he was copying Gua's chimpanzee vocals instead. Gua was moved out shortly thereafter. Looks like Kellogg had his answer. No matter how close we may be, nor how diligently the environment was tailored, there are fundamental differences in development between apes and humans that simply cannot be overridden by nurture alone. Regardless of why these experiments became so well known, whether through ethical questionability or unexpected results, they're all— Hey Psych2Goers, and welcome back to another video. Thank you all so much for the love and support you've given us. Psych2Go's mission is to make psychology more accessible to everyone. So let's begin. Don't we all hope to understand one another better? How can you get a good idea of what kind of person your new friend or acquaintance is? If psychology has taught us anything, it's that people are complicated. There's no quick and easy way to assess a person's true character and motivations, but there are a few tips and tricks that can help you gain better insight into someone's character. The people around us can give a lot of information about themselves without even knowing it. They express it in the little things that they do. All you have to do is observe carefully. So, here are 7 small things that can tell you a lot about a person. 1. Their body language. From posture to facial expressions to hand gestures, researchers believe that our body language and nonverbal cues make up to over 65% of all communication. Interpreting someone's body language can be a powerful tool in helping you to understand their personality, attitudes, and feelings. For example, facial cues like smiling convey happiness. Furrowed brows denote confusion, and biting at your lip means you're worried, anxious, or distressed. Clenched fists indicate anger or frustration. Crossed arms are a sign of defensiveness. And fidgeting can mean boredom, impatience, or deep thought. Learning how to better read someone else's body language can go a long way in helping you understand what someone is thinking, even if they don't say a word to you. 2. Their social media accounts. A person's profile and the way they present themselves online can reveal a lot about their personality, traits, and interests, including the way in which they want to be seen. Their social media presence shows how connected they want to be, while their privacy setting shows how much they're comfortable sharing with people. The pictures they post or share tell you a lot about what they like, whether it's going out with friends, eating good food, or watching movies. And the things they tweet about can give you a lot of insight into their likes, dislikes, and opinions as well. 3. The way they dress. Another great way you can learn a lot about a person without ever even talking to them is by observing the way they dress. For example, those who dress casually are often laid back and easygoing people who value comfort over style and don't care much for impressing others. Whereas those who like to wear colorful clothes and fun patterns are usually creative and artistic types who want to express themselves through their fashion sense. Floral prints and dresses convey femininity and grace, while activewear and sporty clothes reveal confidence and dependability. And formal attire exudes sophistication and assertiveness. 4. Their taste in music. For many of us, our musical taste is an integral part of our personal identity. We're drawn to certain genres and artists that speak to us on an emotional level. We connect with music that helps us better understand ourselves. Getting to look at someone's personal playlist can inform you about their inner world. Those who mostly listen to jazz, soul, and R&B tend to be sensitive, poetic, passionate, and deep. Back to another Psych2Go video. All of the love and support that you've given us has helped us on our mission to help you learn more about psychology in a fun and digestible way. So thanks for that. Now, let's continue. Are humans naturally good or naturally evil? People have been asking this question for thousands of years, and the answer is still unclear. But we know more about human nature now than ever before. Here are 13 secret facts about human nature to help you decide for yourself. Are humans good or evil by nature? Number 1, we make harsh assumptions. When someone does a bad thing, you assume they're a bad person. But when you do the same thing, you blame your environment instead of yourself. This is called actor-observer asymmetry, and it's a fundamental part of human nature. We make false attributions about others while cutting ourselves plenty of slack. Number 2, we enjoy distress. Sometimes. Are humans cruel by nature? According to a 2013 study by Rudolph and others, humans relish the distress of other humans, but only if we think they deserve it. Imagine a supervillain getting beat up by a superhero. We enjoy watching this character suffer because they did something bad. But what if the villain was attacking the hero? We judge that hero as morally good. Instead of pleasure, we would feel anger or pain. So yes, we do enjoy the suffering of others, but only under the right circumstances. Number 3, we ignore facts. What's the best way to make an argument? Most people think facts and figures are the most compelling points out there. However, according to a study by Lord and others, humans are too narrow-minded by nature.
If someone presents us with sound evidence, we're likely to ignore the facts and stick to our original point of view. Number 4, we believe in justice. Is the world a fair place? The facts say no, but human nature says yes. As children, we believe the world is just and fair. The good are rewarded and the bad are punished. As you grow up, you learn that the world is more complicated than you thought, but you still believe life is fair in the end. When you see someone suffering, you convince yourself that they deserved it. You assume that all pain is warranted and all hardship is self-imposed. By nature, humans believe in a just world, even if the world isn't just at all. Number 5, we are empathetic. Humans are predators, sitting at the top of the food chain. But does that mean we're violent by nature? Our history is filled with bloodshed, cruelty, and war. But one biological discovery proves that humans are built to help each other, not hurt each other. According to a 2015 study by Lam and Majancic, the human brain contains mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are special nerve cells in the brain that instinctively activate when you share a feeling or behavior with someone else. Your mirror neurons connect you to the world around you and create a complex emotion called empathy. While humans can learn to be violent, empathy is ingrained within our nature. Number 6, we demand fairness. A 2008 study by Valdesolo and Desteno researched people who judge others. While they freely attack and shame other people for their mistakes, these people rarely pay any attention to their own issues. In other words, we expect the world to be fair, but we allow ourselves to be selfish. Number 7, we are stronger as women. According to a 2008 book by Dacey and Travers, one biological sex is actually stronger than the other. Men are typically taller and more muscular, but women have structural and biological advantages. Dacey and Travers explain that women are less vulnerable to defects and disease than men. Why? Because XY is a far more fragile pairing than XX. Despite what our society might say, women are the stronger sex by nature. Number 8, we hate being bored. Would you rather shock yourself or spend 15 minutes sitting in silence? In 2014, Wilson and others found that most people would rather shock themselves. By nature, humans search for any way to avoid being bored, even if that means hurting yourself in the process. Number 9, we search for balance. When problems happen inside your body, you naturally regenerate and stabilize. Your body is always trying to return to its natural state, a state of harmony and balance throughout the body. No matter what's happening, from physical injury to overwhelming stress, your body and brain are always searching for balance. Number 10, we are overconfident. Are you smarter than the average person? Most people will say yes, but they're usually wrong. People who think they're smart are often the least intelligent. This bias, called the Dunning-Kruger effect, is just one of the many different ways that humans overestimate their own capabilities. We do the same thing with morality, kindness, and trustworthiness. In other words, humans are overconfident by nature. 11, we are attracted to darkness. Why do we fall for mysterious people? Troubled and dangerous souls have long attracted people of all orientations. Think about traits like self-interest, insensitivity, and impulsiveness. These traits are strongly associated with severe personality disorders like psychopathy, but they're also considered highly attractive. 12, we are easily intimidated. Like many species, human leaders may gain power through intimidation. Humans naturally surrender to and support individuals who scare or overpower them. Even if a leader isn't right for the job, they may intimidate their way to the top. And number 13, we abuse anonymity. Have you ever wondered why so many mean comments are left online? Humans are generally ethical when we know someone else is watching. But when we become anonymous, we're more likely to betray our own values. Has human nature ever gotten the best of you? Do you think humans are naturally good or naturally evil? Tell us about your experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to Psych2Go for more psychology content. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Social situations can be tough. There always seems to be a way that we should handle our interactions with people. It gets overwhelming. Learning how the brain operates can help you understand why people are behaving in certain ways and what to do in response. From making a good first impression to winning an argument, we're here to let you in on a couple of secrets. But what kinds of tips and tricks can you use in everyday situations? Are you curious on how you can begin to read people? Here are 7 psychological tricks that actually work. 1. Make a better first impression by going first or last. Here's a great tip when it comes to making an awesome first impression. Go first or last. This only works when you're in a group, but it's definitely worth remembering. Known as the serial position effect, this is when people remember you much more clearly if you're first or last in a list. This is very helpful in job interviews or when you're meeting a person and want to make a lasting impression. 2. The best way to get someone to do you a favor. There are a number of ways to ask for a favor, but the most effective methods are rooted in psychology. The next time you ask a friend to help you out, consider making use of the reciprocity effect. Simply put, people are more likely to do you a favor if you've already done something for them in the past. Please don't make this the only reason why you help people, but the people you help will be much more likely to return the favor later on when you find yourself in a pinch. The good you put out in the world will eventually come back to you. 3. When asking a group of people for help, target individuals first. Convincing a single person to help you is hard enough, but winning over an entire group is almost impossible at times. But if you're smart, you'll use the bystander effect to your advantage. Humans are much less likely to help an individual in need if they're part of a group or crowd. Because of this, you'll have much more success if you approach members of a group individually, gradually convincing everyone and getting the help you need. 4. How to find out who someone really likes. It's always interesting to figure out the strongest connections between people. In any group, there's always a few people who share a much deeper connection with each other compared to the others. Sometimes these deeper connections can be romantic ones. Often, it's a little difficult to spot these strong social connections. But laughter could be the answer. Studies have shown that when we laugh together in a group, we'll automatically look at those we have an amicable relationship with. We don't always glance at the person we like the most in a group, but it's always someone we have a good relationship with. 5. The power of mirroring. Mirroring is when people mimic each other's mannerisms and behaviors, usually during conversation. Most of the time, we do this subconsciously, but if you really want to build trust, you might want to give the relationship a little nudge with the power of mirroring. Try nodding when they nod during conversations, or use your hands to convey your words in a similar style, but don't do it immediately or it'll be too obvious. Research has shown that this technique builds trust and makes the other person feel more comfortable around you. 6. Want to win an argument? Just speak faster. Winning an argument isn't always easy, and sometimes it helps to have a card up your sleeve. One of the most effective methods might also be one of the simplest. Just talk faster. Research has shown that when people speak quickly, they're generally seen as being more knowledgeable. It's also harder for people to refuse quick-fire points because their mind has to work harder to interrupt what we're saying. 7. Remind people they're free to do whatever they want, and they'll be more likely to do what you want. People don't like feeling as if they have no choice. I've always hated when I was forced to do something against my will. 7 years of piano. So if you can create that illusion of choice, you'll generally have a better chance of convincing someone to do something. You're not even lying to them. You're simply reminding them that they're free to do whatever they want. Of course, they knew this deep down, but reminding them of the fact makes you seem less pushy, and it increases the chance of them agreeing with you. It's a simple trick that's totally honest and non-manipulative, and research has shown that it works wonders. Now that we've equipped you with these 7 simple psychological tricks, it's time to go out into the real world and try them out. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Try not to be manipulative or malevolent with these tricks. Have you tried any of these methods before? What are some psychological tricks that you've used in social situations? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give us a like and hit subscribe. Do you have a habit of leaving work and chores to the last minute? Do you have trouble managing your time? We have a solution for that, thanks to our sponsor, Skillshare. It's a great place where you can learn new things with their online classes, and they have courses on animation as well. Watch this video till the end to find out more.
Hey Psych2Goers, and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for all of the love and support that you've given us, enabling us to make yet another exploration into everyday psychology. Today, let's delve into the colorful world of color psychology. Let's begin. What is your favorite color? This is a question that tops your childhood FAQs, right? The uniqueness of each human's mind makes it almost impossible to have a set of rules that applies to everyone's choice. Preferences you might have can be linked to your overall behavior. But did you know the characteristics of your personality can be based on what your favorite color is? Here are your favorites and what they say about your personality. 1. Black. Black is a color to be taken seriously. People whose favorite color is black look for power and control. According to a study in 2018, they are perceived as serious, almost intimidating. You want to be seen by your internal qualities rather than your outward appearance by wearing black clothing. It personifies your independent and mysterious nature, as stated in a study by Peck in 2020. If your favorite color is black, others view you as a private person who masks their emotions. You only share your thoughts and feelings with close friends and relatives. 2. White. Peck claims that the color white has a close relation with purity, birth, and innocence. A study by Myers in 2018 found people who favor white are very organized, independent, and logical in the way they solve problems. You are known to be optimistic and focused on the bright side of life. You strive to find peace, but might come off as uptight and self-righteous, which results in decreased popularity within your circle of friends. Your nature can be condescending at times, which does more harm than good. Oopsie daisy. 3. Red. The color red is closely related to passion, desire, and aggression. Whew. You are outgoing and adventurous. You enjoy being the center of attention and have very intense feelings. You are not afraid of letting others know about your feelings, whether they're good or bad. Speak less, do more is your motto, and you have a very action-oriented style in life. As a natural-born leader, you are respected by people easily. 4. Blue. The color blue symbolizes peace and tranquility and is the most popular color. If your favorite color is blue, you are reliable, calm, and loyal. Your level-headedness allows you to operate under pressure. Finding inner peace and absolute truth is of the essence of you. You live life according to your ideals and beliefs. A study by Myers in 2018 states that you find fulfillment in being of service by thinking about others and putting their needs before your own. But a word of caution, according to a study, self-destructive behavior can be developed when you find expectations and outperforming yourself too hard to handle. 5. Green. Is green your favorite color? If so, you have strong time management skills due to your ability to quickly prioritize. You are open-minded and curious, always looking to learn new things and to become more knowledgeable. They stand their ground on their opinions and do not believe anyone or anything easily. However, if they do, they will do it very strongly. A study states that the color green represents nature, good luck, and fertility. On the other hand, it also represents jealousy and greed. People whose favorite color is green consider their reputation and the way society perceives them as very important and lead an active public life. 6. Yellow. Does the word yellow bring to mind the sun on a summer afternoon? Or maybe that egg yolk on your plate during breakfast on your favorite holiday? Yellow is the color of happiness, sunshine, and laughter. When your favorite color is yellow, you love to share with others, but also have a focus on expressing your individuality. You are very lighthearted and have a very positive outlook, but tend to go overboard with your optimism. Whoops. You are seldom sad, but when it happens, you can be in that mood for several days. A study found such people are spontaneous and willing to take action, giving them an advantage over people who are indecisive. 7. Orange. Would you describe yourself as highly productive? Do you like to work and get things done fast? Chances are your favorite color must be orange then, right? This color represents energy, warmth, and enthusiasm. It gives you a party-like vibe, doesn't it? People whose favorite color is orange like to socialize. You aim to be accepted and respected in a group of people. Just like people who favor yellow, you are very optimistic, always expecting wonderful things to happen. You have a black and white perspective on life, either going after something with everything you have or not going after it at all. 8. Purple. Do you remember the color of Rapunzel's royal flag in Tangled? Purple is the color associated with power, royalty, spirituality, and prestige. Because back in the day, only monarchs and nobility could afford purple clothing. So yeah, you guessed it right. The color of the flag in Tangled was also purple. People whose favorite color is purple are helpful to others, but require significant emotional security in their lives. You are creative and love unique things, wanting to stand out from the group. Known as unpredictable, dealing with you can be either very easy or extremely difficult. Having a balance of both charisma and cool exterior makes climbing to the top all the easier. 9. Pink. Did you just think of the Pink Panther? The color pink symbolizes femininity, love, playfulness, and to a certain extent, immaturity, claimed a study in 2020. People whose favorite color is pink express themselves very well and believe in being loved and accepted unconditionally. You prioritize love, family, and kindness above everything else. You are very compassionate to those closest to you and are very dependable when others need emotional support. This color is the most calming and sedative one, which is why some institutes paint their walls pink to reduce aggression. 10. Gray. Gray is associated with balance, being neither dark nor light. People whose favorite color is gray usually prefer not to be the center of attention. You are known as very mature, but are difficult to characterize due to the nature of the color. Your taste is very modern and sophisticated. You are naturally fair and can see problems objectively without letting personal feelings affect the decisions made. And 11, brown. Is your favorite color the same color as chocolate and coffee? Brown, like green, is a color connected to life, growth, and the color of the earth. Brown in color psychology is a color of reliability, loyalty, and sincerity. It relates to maturity and being sensible. So if you're into brown, you're down to earth, practical, straight talking, and always to the point. Not only that, you have a keen sense of duty and responsibility. You take your obligations very seriously. Your family and friends are extremely important to you, and you like physical comfort, simplicity, and quality. Did you relate to your favorite color? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Did you relate to any of the points in the video? What do you think of the animation? Let us know in the comments below. Before we wrap up this video, we wanna mention that we're happy to have Skillshare as a sponsor today because they really promote the idea of a self-made you. Are you planning to learn a new skill? Perhaps on time management, writing, or animation? Are you looking through as many YouTube channels as you can for tutorial tips, but waste a lot of time on some not so helpful ones? It would be great if everything you need is all in one place. Skillshare has thousands of catered courses across all kinds of topics like design, business, tech, and more. There is truly something for everyone. Skillshare has a great intro class on productivity that we really recommend. The course is called Productivity Masterclass, Principles and Tools to Boost Your Productivity by Ali Abdaal. He goes into detail as to why having not enough time is not a good excuse for not accomplishing your work. If any of you are interested in learning how to get more things done in a day, I recommend you go check it out in the link below. The first 1,000 people will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium, and after that, it's only about $10 a month. Let us know what Skillshare courses you're taking. Before we get into today's video, a shout out to our sponsors at NordPass. As the world becomes more remote and technology starts to advance, NordPass is here to protect your passwords in a secure vault. Our mental health is influenced by our digital behaviors, and cybersecurity is of most importance to keep our minds calm and secure. Password management can be a big help in that regard. Did you know 22% of respondents in the US and UK have been a victim of cybercrime? With the help of NordPass, they'll make sure you stay safe online and reduce your stress instead of increasing it. Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back. Thank you so much for all the love that you've given us. Your ongoing support has helped us make psychology and mental health more accessible to everyone. As a quick disclaimer, this video is meant for informative purposes only. Do not use the information in this video to diagnose yourself or others. Now, let's continue. We can all think of people throughout our lives that have done bad things. Have you or someone you know been manipulated or acted selfishly and disregarded the wants and needs of others? Or perhaps you've been exposed to someone who takes pleasure in other people's suffering. These are all toxic behaviors that hurt others. They are shocking tendencies that are not just isolated instances, but personality traits, specifically dark personality traits. Over the years, psychologists have noticed patterns and have narrowed down tendencies to 4 categories, known as the dark tetrad. So what is the dark tetrad? The dark tetrad is an evolution of the dark triad: narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Now added to this list is sadism. These 4 traits are believed to serve as the core of humanity's dark side. Each trait is believed to be tied with one another, meaning that someone who shows one part of the tetrad is likely to showcase another. Each of the 4 traits is defined as follows: narcissism, egocentrism, and a need for admiration; psychopathy, lacking empathy and regard to ethics; Machiavellianism, manipulative and feelings of entitlement; sadism, desire to hurt others mentally, emotionally, and/or physically. With that said, here are 7 signs of a dark tetrad personality. Number 1, they have extremely selfish behaviors. When you're highly narcissistic, you put your own self-interest before others. You don't take how others feel into any type of consideration, and you want for anything that you feel will benefit yourself first and foremost. Whether it's fame, prestige, or wealth, you don't want to share it with anyone else but yourself. Number 2, they lack empathy. Lacking empathy is a huge factor in the dark tetrad. When you lack empathy, you tend to hold little regard for the feelings of others. You see no problem in taking advantage of people and care very little for others' hardships. With low empathy and self-centeredness, you feel that the rest of the world doesn't matter, and your selfishness always puts your own feelings ahead of others, no matter the situation. Number 3, they try to spite you. When someone with the dark tetrad doesn't get their way, they can resort to nasty tactics to get back at you. They are willing to go out of their way to harm others for their revenge. Their selfishness, entitlement, and lack of ethics allows them to get back at others without an ounce of guilt. Number 4, they feel entitled. Despite how horrible their actions and behaviors are, the dark tetrad feels that they are justified. With their selfish nature and lack of empathy, they feel that it's all right to use and abuse others for their own gain. They cannot accept responsibility or feel remorse for their actions because deep down, they feel that they're truly in the right. Number 5, they're manipulative. When a dark tetrad personality type uses manipulation, they're using you as a means to an end. They don't care about what you want or feel. They just want to reach their own goals and will exploit you and deceive you to do so. They tend to act more calculated and show no remorse for their actions, and may resort to actions that cause you extreme psychological, emotional, or physical strain in order to get what they want from you. Number 6, they take pleasure in causing pain. Sadistic people, unfortunately, get pleasure out of hurting others. They may act physically, verbally, or emotionally violent in direct or indirect ways. Indirectly, they want to humiliate others, but more directly, they will intentionally inflict physical, sexual, or psychological pain and suffering on you in order to assert power and dominance, or for pleasure and enjoyment. They typically have a long-standing pattern of cruel or demeaning behaviors towards others. And number 7, they're unethical. If someone has such little regard for others, they put themselves first in any situation, and they use people to their advantage. It's also likely that they don't care for the principles of right and wrong. They don't care much for their own morality or the morality of their actions. This is what allows them to manipulate, hurt, and belittle you without any guilt or remorse. People with these traits may be unaware that they're different, or are aware and they take pride in their awful behaviors. They might refuse to accept help or even acknowledge their bad behavior and continue to hurt people. So what do you think about the dark tetrad? Have you experienced anyone like this? Can you think of any other signs that we might have missed? Please like and share this video if it helped you and you think it could help someone else too. The studies and references used are listed in the description below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more Psych2Go videos, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Viewers, welcome back to another video. To start off, we'd like to thank you for all the love and support that you've given us. Psych2Go's mission is to make psychology and mental health more accessible to everyone. Now, let's begin. Why do we gossip? Why does it seem so enjoyable sometimes? To gossip means to talk about someone who isn't there. It's generally frowned upon and discouraged, since you may end up upsetting and hurting the person you're talking about. You may think that all gossip is intended to put someone down, but there are actually other reasons you may end up talking about someone behind their back. Before we start, we'd like to mention that this video is for educational purposes only, and it's created to help us understand why we do the things we do. It's not meant to justify, glorify, or to condone gossiping. This act can be harmful and negatively impact someone's mental and emotional well-being. With that said, here are 8 of the most likely reasons why we gossip. Number 1, to break the ice. Has there been a time where the only thing you had in common with someone you just met was a mutual acquaintance? Since the best way to break the ice with someone you just met is to find some common ground to talk about, it may be no surprise that you would try to make small talk by gossiping about someone you both know. And gossiping about someone you both know may be the way you end up getting to better know each other. 2, to stay in the loop. Do you live in a small town or a tight-knit community? Since most people know each other already, gossiping about one another may be a way people stay in the loop about those in the community. This is especially true if the person you're talking about is really private and keeps to themselves. There may be no other way to know anything about them than by listening to gossip in town. Number 3, to fit in. Do you find yourself gossiping from time to time to fit in with your peers? If you're surrounded by people who love to chit-chat and gossip all the time, then chances are you're going to go along with it too. Your desire for social acceptance may outweigh your desire to do the right thing. After all, gossiping may be the only way to feel like you can get closer to your peers and belong in their group. Number 4, to feel better about yourself. Does gossiping about others make you feel good? In psychology, this is known as downward social comparisons. It's a defensive tendency to boost your self-esteem by comparing yourself with people who may be worse off than you. While you may not like to admit it, gossiping may be a guilty pleasure because of how satisfying and comforting it may feel to judge and talk badly about someone you dislike so that you can feel better about yourself. Number 5, to regain power. Have you ever gossiped about someone you were jealous of? When you come across someone you see as better than you in some way, maybe they're more attractive or more popular or more accomplished, you may feel a need to tear them down. You may gossip about them because you unconsciously believe it will allow you to regain power and put the spotlight back on you. It may make you feel superior to those you feel jealous of. Number 6, to have a distraction. Do you end up gossiping about someone when you have nothing else to do? After all, it is an easy but entertaining way to get you and your friends interested and engaged. There may be drama and excitement that can come from gossiping with your friends and to people who don't have much going on in their lives at the moment. So it's a fun but harmful distraction that may help you pass the time. Number 7, to feel closer to others. Did your friend really get into a relationship with someone they just met? Or perhaps they've just ended a serious relationship. When this happens, do you have a habit of gossiping about the people you care about and talk about them behind their back? Those who crave intimacy and connection but don't quite know how to communicate it in a healthy way and honest way may turn to gossip instead. It may be a way to ask all the things they've been curious about but too embarrassed to say to their face. And number 8, to hold people accountable. Do you gossip to hold other people accountable? Those who don't like resolving conflicts with confrontation may let out their feelings by gossiping about them instead. It may be a way for you to open up and air out your grievances about someone who had upset you without confronting them directly. Do you relate to this video? Have you ever gossiped because of one of these reasons? Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to another video. Thank you all so much for your love and support, enabling us to make yet another exploration into everyday psychology.
So let's begin. Have you heard the saying, humans are creatures of habit? As a human, you naturally have your own unique or even common habits that you just can't seem to stop doing. How many of yours can you recall? Some body language habits have a way of sneaking into your everyday lives, so much that you might not even realize that you're doing them. Some of these subconscious behaviors may be fine with us, but they might induce others into making wrong perceptions about us. These behaviors could possibly be the culprit as to why you aren't landing that job after your interview, or perhaps why all your blind dates tend to ghost you for no apparent reason. So, if you have a hunch that a body language habit of yours might be the culprit, here are 6 not so great body language habits you should look out for. Number 1, slouching. Does your job include being hunched over your computer for long hours? Or perhaps you stay browsing YouTube videos for additional long hours to relieve your boredom. Whatever keeps you slouching over your screen all day, the end result is that you develop bad posture. Slouching is not a good body language habit to get into. It not only leads to bad posture and back problems, but it also doesn't reflect well on others. Because instead of them thinking the slouch is because of the hours hunched over our screens during work, they think it's because of a lack of self-confidence or because you were slouched over watching YouTube videos, which it was also occasionally, sometimes. Hey, they're educational, sometimes. Number 2, holding a defensive position. People can be annoying. So you may be in the habit of holding a defensive pose, such as crossing your arms, in reaction to the meanies out there. But don't let the seemingly defensive pose become a habit. Oftentimes, people will associate crossed arms as someone being disinterested or, well, defensive. So they might not think you like them or what they have to say. Showing your hands more when you talk with someone is the way to go. According to body language expert Patty Wolf, you should always keep your hands in view when you're talking. When a listener can't see your hands, they wonder what you're hiding. Number 3, not walking with confidence and good coordination. How we walk can tell a person a lot about us. Do you agree? A lot of people judge you simply by how you walk down the street. Say what? In the 1980s, 2 New York psychologists, Maura Stein and Betty Grayson, conducted research to find out what violent criminals look for in their victims. They had violent prisoners rate individuals on how easy it was to attack them from recorded tapes of the people walking. They then had professional dancers analyze the clips using a Laban movement analysis system to rate how coordinated the individuals in the clips were, and concluded that criminals found those walking with less confidence and coordination were easier targets. This reminds me of that classic episode on Rhett and Link's YouTube show Good Mythical Morning, The Safest Way to Walk. In that episode, the 2 internet personalities learned how to walk the correct way, according to researchers, in order to not be a target for mugging. It's hilarious. Number 4, appearing distracted. Do you tend to look away onto other things when someone's talking to you? You're still actively listening to the person talking, but glancing away may be a habit. While it may seem innocent, if you keep glancing away during a serious story about your friend's beloved goldfish, crackers, they may think you're bored and not interested, or that you simply don't care about crackers. The pet goldfish, not the addictively yummy snack. Number 5, overly intense eye contact or no eye contact at all. Eyes are the windows to the soul, right? But you just don't like looking into the depths of another's soul. We just met. But not using any eye contact may make your job interviewer think that you're not a serious worker or you're hiding something. Or perhaps too much eye contact during a casual party may make someone think they have food on their face. Aggressive stares can make someone feel a bit uncomfortable, and shifting your gaze too often and not looking the person in the eye at all can make them wonder if you lack confidence or are simply uninterested in what they're saying. In other words, it's best to pay attention to the goldfish story. Pay attention to crackers. No, not the snacks, though they sure have got my attention now. And number 6, fidgeting during an important conversation. Nearly everyone fidgets. What's your go-to fidget ritual? It's something you do, and it can be entertaining. Enter pencil drum solo. This is a difficult habit to stop, and it may take time, but it may be worth it in some situations. Let's not forget our beloved retractable click pens and their dainty clicky sounds. Sweet relief. But according to body language expert Tanya Raymond, author of The Power of Body Language,
Fidgeting can imply you lack power or that you may be nervous. So it might be best to leave the drum solos to the experts and someone with a drum set. And while your amazing clicky pen may be appropriate background music, or not, for a boring day in class, it maybe isn't such a good idea during a serious conversation. And while people all around the world have adopted these habits and seem to be doing just fine, it's important to realize that now might be the best time to start breaking away from them. They are harmless and haven't really done you any wrong, agreed. But you do want that extra edge in the next interview of yours, right? We hope we were able to give you insight into some of the body language habits that give a wrong impression. Did you find these relatable? Which one do you employ the most? Were you aware it was giving off such wrong vibes? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button and share it with someone you think needs to rethink their body language choices. Don't forget to subscribe to Psych2Go and hit the notification bell for more new videos. Thanks for watching. See you soon.